flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of Military's Move. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we're going to talk about how to utilize your motherfucking natural gifts. Because we all got natural gifts, and we all got access to energy signatures. And you better believe that motherfucking shit. So getting into this motherfucking video, what we got to break down is the motherfucking stars. Because it's important to know what each star represents. It's important to know what each day represents. What each daemon represent. That's right, D-A-E-M-O-N. What each of these motherfucking energy signatures, these big ass shapes and forms that you are seeing in this realm of reality, it's important to know what each one represents individually. So for the most part, that's going to give you an understanding to let you know what kind of energy signature you got access to, based upon what star you is. So let's break this down. Now let's get into the motherfucking sun. The sun represents your wants. You know what I'm saying? So it's what you can see. It's what you're consciously aware of. Now when I say see, I'm talking about the current see. So it's your ability to see what kind of influence of the influence that you're in. Influence. So it's the see, the current see, that represents the current state that we're all experiencing as far as a realm of reality. So it's appearance. It's what things appear to be. It's creativity. And it's how people can be aware of you, and it's how you view things and what you're consciously aware of. So this is the motherfucking sun, and a lot of times it's tied to your motherfucking wants, the solar plexus. So it's your wants. It was your will, your ability to want something, to want your dream and imagination, and to be in that motherfucking light. So this is what you're consciously aware of, and this is what other people are conscious of you. So that's what your motherfucking sun represents, right? So it's your actions, the way you act, how you see things, and what you're consciously aware of. Getting into the moon is like your motherfucking macabre. So it's your ability to, it's your vehicle and your ability to travel in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension realm. You know what I'm saying? And with this vehicle right here, you're able to understand the subconscious realm. So you're able to understand part of your true state of being. So with this vehicle, you're able to tap into your Akashic records. So you're able to understand memory, past experiences, and able to hold on to these things, aka your bubble. So it's like your most lightest cloth. It's your lightest cloth that you created for yourself to be aware of yourself. But this almost like the subconscious version of it. So it's like your soul. It's almost like your soul. It play out as a version before you create the imagery of what you think a soul appeared to be, or ghostly or holy or whatever, things of that nature. But it's tapped into that realm. So it's your ability to travel through the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension as a shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas. If you get what I'm saying. So, for the most part, it's how you react. It's how you respond to the realm of reality that you are in. It's the world you live in. It's your state of being. It's your it's what makes you feel comfortable. It's your vibe. It's how you're vibrating. It's your fluid in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. You see what I'm saying? So, for the most part, it's your needs down here. It's your motherly energy. You know what I'm saying? It's what makes you feel comfortable when you're in that energy state, and you're going to feel highly uncomfortable when you're not in that energy state. Now, when we get into motherfucking Mercury, Mercury is the thinking, the intellect, the communicating, you see what I'm saying? The information, the curiosity, you know what I'm saying? The being able to see what's this about, see what this about. So it's tapping you into information. So once you then got here and developed all these lesser bodies, you end up being able to tap into this Mercury body and start to develop your motherfucking spaceship, aka utilize the air element. So utilizing the Mercury is your ability to travel mentally, and it's your ability to think and have a construct of and have a direction or emit a light that you can direct yourself in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, aka create a square in that round realm of reality. If you know what I mean, if you're spiritually inclined enough, or if you're esoteric enough. You see what I'm saying? Or if you're part of my soul group. My soul group already know this shit. Now, when we talk about Venus, Venus is how you love, appreciate, value, relate, the things you're willing to compromise with. So keep that in mind. Mars is your intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and your desires, and your alternative motives, and your true intentions, and your goals, and your motivations. Keep that in mind. So, and when those are not being fed, it can flip on the negative end and end up becoming the way you fight. Become your anger, become your aggression, become your passion. You see what I'm saying? And a whole negative attribute. Just to get through obstacles and situations that may appear to be blocking you from obtaining your goals or things that you're motivated to do, or your true intentions. Also, when we get into Jupiter, it brings overall experiences in your life, whether they're negative or positive. So Jupiter brings experiences. It brings that lightning, brings that strike of idea, that strike of circumstance that your spirit wants to experience in order to extract wisdom and knowledge and place new meanings and reasonings on that experience. By default, cause expansion within the mind and your spirit. So Jupiter is giving you spirituality down here from a third dimensional level. So whether Jupiter is directing you on a religious path, path or a spiritual path, or just giving you experiences on a mundane level in general, in order for you to understand that experiences is a lot more in depth than what you think is in this dimension, and you being in this density and in this fucking demonic vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Jupiter is trying to give you an understanding that there's higher perspectives of what the fuck is actually going on. Now, when you talk about Saturn, Saturn is how one see reality. So since Saturn rules this realm of reality we are in, Saturn is motherfucker how we see this reality, and how it's constructing this reality is based upon structure, status, patient, positioning, you know what I'm saying, rotation, analyzing, building, and things of that nature, work, all that shit, and breaking down things and drawing a blueprint. So that's what Saturn represents. So Saturn is controlling the whole routine and pattern. It's almost like the boss. So this is why a lot of Capricorns or Aquariuses a lot of times feel like they are the bosses of their circumstances and situations based upon that same scenario. You know what I'm saying? That Saturn energy. So, you know, getting into these motherfucking 7 days, let's let you know the motherfucking energy signature of what's going on. So for the most part, here's the thing. Now, you was born in a specific season, right? In a season, in the seas. You know what I'm saying? This is why y'all need to understand the seas. It's not just, it don't have really anything to do with the S. S, that's a symbol. The C is a symbol. But when we talk about sea, and then you look in the Bible and talk about the seamen, you are a seaman, sea woman, and things of that nature, because y'all in the sea. And y'all are, and in the sea is where the fleshly fluids can get created. So this becomes semen. You know what I'm saying? And then in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, that y'all just writing it metaphorically, but in the third dimension is actually talking about the cell life, and it's talking about the cell life that's being created and developed as far as semen. So as far as, look, for an example, I'm a male, right? So I'm gonna have a thought, an idea, or a concept. Now I created a vehicle. Now that's something I can cling on to as a habit, or something I can get rid of. If I get rid of it, that's like a revelation. That's like a destroying the whole land and trying to recreate and be fruitful again. If I cling on to that thought and idea, that's a shape or form or a square I like in my space. So I created that vehicle to be in my space. Now in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, that is an actual light. That is an actual vehicle. That is an actual vessel that can become a cell, but it's not a cell yet. It's just in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. It's whatever kind of vehicle, shape, or form it is there, but it's still a form. So for the most part, your spirit is no thing, no shape or form. It's just your space. So based upon what you resonate with, if you resonate with that light, you will move into that light. Now, going into that motherfucking light, now this is where the light is like when you in fire in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension represents imagination, passion, and things of that nature, and ideas. So for the most part, in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, that's what it would appear to be as a spirit. So as you being no thing, no shape and form, it's a light. But what is light? Fire, you know what I'm saying? And it's a fleshly fluid. So it's almost like the fire pit of hell and things of that nature, that whatever the Bible was talking about. I forgot the words that they use, but when you're going into the pit of hell and you're going into the fire and things of that nature, you're going into someone's imagination, aka, and you have to go through the one dimension first. So you're going through a one-dimensional vehicle, which is 9 times out of 10 the masculine version of the spirit that's utilizing that vehicle at the moment is capable of, you know what I'm saying, which is the male. So for the most part, you go into the idea. Now if it becomes a habit, right, and this idea becomes something that this spirit in this vehicle, aka this body, cling on to over and over again, then that motherfucking that's that spirit taking many different shapes and forms, dying and becoming stars, and dying and becoming stars, dying and being born, all the way until it could get going to the Sheol, or going down here into this motherfucking shit, and then it could get shot out into the second dimension, which is the mother of the realm of reality, and then start to develop the realm of reality in that world, and then come out into the motherfucking third dimension. Better stand. But yeah, this is why. And then when you go into your mother, and then you go, that's the second dimension, and then third dimension, you come out, and you come out during the season. That's why you always come out during the season, overseas in water and shit like that. You come out during the season. So you need to understand that your spirit is no thing, no shape and form. But once it starts to create shapes and forms, it is forever in fluid. This is why you're ever influenced. This is why you're dealing with frequency vibrations. This is why you know you're in a current. You know you're in a fluid. This is why you know you're in that shit by having a fleshly fluid, by having a light body. This is why you know that shit. And it's why you know your spirit ain't that shit. It's just going in these things as shapes and forms and going through different realms of realities. So for the most part, this is why you come out during the season. Now, during the season, this is kind of how you can understand what space you came in, what based upon the season. So this is how we calculate what space you came in here, based upon the season, based upon astrology. So for the most part, say you came in during the springtime, and based upon the decade or decade, a decade for the higher being, a decade down here for the most part, but that's another video. But for the most part, that let you know if you was born in the space and the location of the first house, or the second house, or the third house. So say you was born in the space of the third house, that would mean that you are a Gemini star. So you are part of the Gemini star constellation. So even though they travel, you just a long lost nephew or son or motherfucking newborn, you know what I'm saying? Newborn motherfucking star that's born out of that motherfucking space. If you was born in the fourth house, this means you would be a Cancer star. Now here's what I mean by that, right? Because now your three main important energies to understand is your sun, moon, and your ascendant. Your ascendant is your personality, personal issues, and affairs. And I just broke down your sun and your moon as the sun being your wants, the moon being your needs. Your sun being your actions, the way you act and how you see things, and your moon being how you react and respond to the world that you are in. And your ascendant is the personality throughout it all. So for the most part, the ascendant is the space and the location that your sun was in when you gave birth, when you came into this realm of reality. So when you started creating your solar plexus, the space and the location that it was in is basically your ascendant sign, because it's where the sun, your solar plexus, the space and location your solar plexus was rising in when you started creating your other solar plexus. The same way the Bible is trying to show you the being that you live in did first. So the 7 days is the 7 chakras, the solar system, basically, and you're worshiping each space and location of it. You know what I'm saying? So when you want to understand time, time is the calculation of a travel. So if we're calculating a travel because we got time, then that let you know that each day means that we're in a different space, a different location. And that space and location that we are in was the space and location that star was in before you was in it. So that star, this is why that star rules that space and location, because it was born or it was in that space and location before you was. So when you're coming as a mini star traveling through that space and location, you are experiencing the influence in that fluid, that season, that time, that day, that star. You are experiencing the influence of that energy signature of that space. That's like when you go over somebody else's house, it ain't your house. So when you go over their house, you feel their energy signature. You feel their influence. And then you see all the shapes and forms that they manifest based upon the stuff that they hang on the wall, how they decorate their house. But based upon before all that, it's just their space. Before they manifested all that, they was correlating and vibrating in a certain energy signature. So when you walk into a person's house, you feel the vibe. So that's the same way when you move into another space in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. As us in the 3rd dimension, y'all think it's another day, but it's really you traveling and facing another space and location, and you moving in that space and location based upon the star you on, the body of water you on. So when this current move, and then it's moving in space, and then it's spinning, and then once you looking in a different space and moving in a different space, it's a different influence and it's a different representation. So we have no choice as spirits but to come to the analyzation when we start to use our left brain, but to call it the actual energy signature it is, motherfucking Monday or Tuesday. And you ain't gonna call it nothing else. And the moment you start to try to call it something else, your ass is going against the motherfucking esoteric laws. So you can argue with me all you want. Oh yeah, we call it the days, but it ain't really that. Your ass start getting lost. You know what I'm saying? That's when you start getting lost into other shit. You start coming up with your own religion. You start coming up with shit that ain't in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? If you just go ahead and stick to what the fuck the shit is saying, your motherfucker ass will know something. See what I'm saying? Now, alright, now, cause y'all know I be going on a tangent and shit. So now, alright, now when we talk about the sun rules Leo and Leo alone. You see what I'm saying? The moon's rule Cancer and Cancer alone. Then when we get to Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini. You see what I'm saying? It rules those spaces. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius. Saturn rules Aquarius and Capricorn. So this is what you need to understand. When you got a sign in your sun, moon, or ascendant, you have natural access to the energy signature of the ruling star. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, say your sun sign is an Aries or a Scorpio. Your actions, the way you act, how you see things, what you're consciously aware of, always have access to the energy signature of Mars. You see what I'm saying? Which is intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and desires. So we be in the realm of reality a lot of times washed up in other people's energies, aka, yeah, your parents and your family members, yeah, they're close to you and they can give you advice, but you need to understand that y'all alchemy, y'all chemistry is mixed in two different ways. So a lot of times you can't align too many of the same attributes because things that work for them may not work for you, and vice versa. Things that work for you may not work for them. And I would hate for people in my soul group or for people to have to go through a whole bunch of those experiences just to come to that conclusion, when you could just watch Archangel Uriel and save all those troubles and shit like that and already realize like, oh, okay, but yeah, this is still what I need to do in my life. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, when we get into your sun, moon, and ascendant, right? This is when you have natural access to these motherfucker energy signatures. Now say your moon is Taurus or motherfucker Libra, right? Then the way you react and respond to the world has natural access to the energy signature of love, appreciation, value, relativeness, and compromising. So for the most part, for me bringing up these motherfucker examples is here's why. Because based upon us being in circumstances that direct our energy in other ways, and a lot of times we may not be doing things in our natural way. And a lot of times this is our natural power. And anytime we are acting or reacting or personalizing, aka the ascendant, in our natural energy signatures, we're able to get from point A to point B a lot faster than we would have listening to people, places, and things around us. Aka being washed up in energy signatures that's directing our energy in directions that may not be necessarily representing to our natural state of being. So for the most part, it'll take us longer to get from point A to point B or to accomplish our goals because we're trying to do something in a way that we don't naturally resonate with. So that way it may have worked for someone else, but it may not have worked for you. So you may still reach that goal, but it might have took you way more years, way more time, no matter how much advice that person gave you who got there from point A to point B way faster than you. They might just been in the right energy signature based upon their natal alignment. Right person, right place, right time, right thing type of circumstance and situation. You see what I'm saying? This is how you even start to see situations in your life where you be more talented than others, but others get way more shine than you. You know what I'm saying? Because just based upon their natal alignment, it doesn't fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? They're going to experience that experience anyway. This all an illusion. So the illusion is one thing, but the energy signature behind it is a whole nother thing. So based upon what a person is experiencing in general, that's a whole different story. The shapes and forms that you think was being placed there, that you think people is enjoying, that's a whole different story. Those are two different things. That's what you need to understand. But say your ascendant is in Pisces or Sagittarius. Then your personality, personal issues and affairs and things of that, when you start to pay attention to your personal issues and your personal affairs. But when you jump into your energy signature of your personality, you always got natural energy signature to access Jupiter, which is wisdom, knowledge, meanings, reasonings, broad philosophical points of views of looking at the world, spirituality, and God. So anytime you're utilizing that aspect to your personality, you're able to always get from point A to point B a lot faster. So this is your gift. So you could kind of run it down the line and mix it up. So for the most part, I'm gonna hang myself on the cross so y'all can get a kind of clear understanding of what's actually going on. And therefore, when I break this down, y'all been seeing this energy signature from me the whole time, but I'm just breaking it down how you could pinpoint it 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional wise. So you can sit back and be like, oh, okay, so this is how I can size myself up, and this is how other people seeing me. Without me being aware of that. Now you're aware of it. Now you know how to use it for your benefit and know how to utilize the universe. You see what I'm saying? So look, let me hang myself up on the cross real quick, right? My sun sign is Aries. My moon sign is Sagittarius. My ascendant sign is Leo. So for the most part, my sun sign, which is my actions, the way I act and how I see things, got natural access to the energy signature of Mars. Intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and desires. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, anytime I act, you know what I'm saying? My actions, my sun, anytime I act, make y'all be consciously aware of something, or anytime I'm trying to pay attention to something, anytime I utilize the energy signature of intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and desire behind my actions, I'm going to be seen in the right light. Now, my moon is in Sag, so it's ruled by Jupiter. So for the most part, every time I react and respond to the world that I'm in a wise way, or when I go through these experiences, make sure I'm always reacting and responding to the knowledge out of it, to the wisdom from it, to what was the meaning and reasoning from the experience. You know what I'm saying? Make sure I'm always reacting and responding to those. Make sure I'm trying to get comfortable with that. Make sure I match that vibe. The more I'm going to manifest the right circumstances and situations in my life due to my moon. Now, pardon me. Now, when my ascendant is Leo. So Leo is ruled by the sun. So the sun is light, attention, being paid attention to, creativity, the ability to be seen, you know what I'm saying, the ability to create and express, you know what I'm saying, because for you to see anything, somebody has to express it. So when you're looking at that metaphysically from a 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional level, that's when you see the sun. The sun is expressive, optimistic, upbeat. It makes you feel like you want to rise and get up and do something and dance, just like how the sun is doing this shit. So for the most part, when you my ascendant, the more I take my personality and try to be seen, try to be creative, try to be expressive, you know what I'm saying, with my personality, the more my personality will come across more in my own favor. The more I try to take my personality and try to do it in a Libra way, and try to back and support it in a Venus way, or do it in a Taurus way, or do it in a Gemini way, I'm gonna come across to other people like something ain't personally right with this person. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in your own energies. And if you're not watching Archangel Uriel, you're not into astrology, so you're getting washed up and absorbed by and being an agent yourself all day. So you're around other people who vibrating higher than you spiritually, and then they don't even watch Archangel Uriel, so they don't even know what they're doing with their own power. So a bunch of y'all just following and doing things with each other to the point that you doing things the way other people doing it, and that's why you're not able to see success in that area the same way they do. So you'll spend your whole life trying to do something the way somebody else did it and never experience that shit yourself. You see what I'm saying? Just because you missing your own experience and not understanding your own alignment. So the shit go motherfucking deep. So this is how to understand your motherfucking natural gifts. Your natural gifts is your stars and the motherfucking ruler of the sign at the star that you are. So for the most part, your solar plexus, your sun. If whatever house it was born in, that's the kind of star you are. You see what I'm saying? So if I say I'm a sun sign Aries, that means I'm an Aries star. We are all stars. A logical person would sit here and try to argue with me the same shit that I'm trying to tell them what they're arguing. Like, it's like, why do you think if I tell you, right, that a day means, now if I tell you a day means a demon, right? A logical person, before we even get to the root of why I even said that, we would have to get into a whole bunch of lostness of their indoctrination. First of all, I'm going to have to sit here and realize what they have grown to know what a demon even represents in the first place, which is lostness on top of lostness, right? Then we got to filter through how I look, you know what I'm saying? Because I look like I'm a nigga, you know what I'm saying? I got braids, you know what I'm saying? I dress like I'm coming from an urban area. I talk like I talk like I'm not educated as far as college-wise and things of that nature, as far as having a doctrine, indoctrination, and institutionalized or something like that. So then I got to filter through that. And then my age, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. I'm talking about, I'm dealing with people who's 40, 50s, and 60s and motherfucking going to school. So off the back, their credentials going to look at me like I don't know anything. Boom, then I got to filter through that shit. Right? Then I got to filter through all the logic of it. So then now we got to do etymology, which ain't nothing but animalology, the animal natures, coming up with words and shit. So then we got to deal with that. I got to filter through that first. So now I got to be like, okay, well, I'm talking about not D-A-Y, I'm talking about D-A-E. And then once we go do the etymology of that, you see that it's a son or a name for a little baby boy, right? It's a name for a baby boy. But then when I say I'm talking about it metaphysically, for the spirit to even have that energy signature to think that's a baby boy name, is coming from the masculine energy. Now the masculine energy is way beyond physical representations of what you want to call male and female, right? So now we would have to go scientifically into all that now. So now they'd be agreeing with me, but the whole time trying to disagree with me based upon all the illusions that's there that I broke down. Me looking like this and all that shit. But the whole time they'd start getting into scientifically how they understand how we got feminine and masculine natures, right? And I'd be like, okay, boom, boom, there you go. So masculine is an energy signature that becomes a shape and form, aka it becomes positive, the electric charge that push out, so aka is what we can see externally. So when I say a sun, a light, or a shape and form that we can physically see, that by itself is backed and supported by the masculine energy. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the yang realm. You wouldn't be able to be consciously aware of it, and you wouldn't be able to see it. So it's a shape and form in some realm of reality. So it's tied to the masculine energy. So if we want to talk about metaphor and talking in parables and metaphorically and spiritually talking about the Bible and shit like that, back then, ancients, when they saying daemon, they're just talking about a day and a moon together. Motherfucker, a masculine and a feminine energy together. A motherfucker spiritual being getting ready to become into a fucking freshly fluid, aka become whole and can make a shape and form out of his two natures that's rotating with each other. You see, which is the masculine and feminine. So when you get what I'm saying, like, see, but you probably won't get what I'm saying because of all the shit that I just broke down that we would have to filter through. And I don't be having time for all that. You know what I'm saying? I don't like getting 3D. This is one of the reasons why I smoke. You know what I'm saying? The smoking bring me down. I can't even, you know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all in 3 dimensions smoke to get high. I'm already up there. You know what I'm saying? I gotta smoke this to come down and slow down and be able to deal with y'all and understand y'all words and understand the shit that y'all lost in, so I can have new ways to come to y'all and shit like that. Otherwise, I fucking disappear, motherfucker, like powder. That movie Powder. I start speaking in motherfucking tongues. My fucking physical shape and form dissipate. For real. So for real, like, you know what I'm saying? I be having to take physical shapes and forms. But the lightest one here is this smoking flame right here. You know what I'm saying? So I like this one. I resonate with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and cater to this one down here to bring me to y'all motherfucking state. And this state really still ain't in y'all state. It's still in its lightest form. So, you know what I'm saying? But, and there's a lot of things that y'all gotta understand. So a daemon, that's a fucking star. A star, the birth of a star. So when you hear things like the Holy Bible, the Bible is like the story. So the story is written in a word. So for the most part, when we talk about holy, holiday, right, that holidays is dead star worship. A holy star, star with a hole in it. You know what I'm saying? So this is why dead stars get holidays, the more popular that they are. So we got a motherfucker who was a motherfucker first star, or in this space, and then we got a motherfucker. This dead star had motherfucking words. You know what I'm saying? So this is where y'all start to get the Holy Bible, a dead star's words. So motherfucker, y'all led to believe this dead star's word. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. So it's the Holy Bible. You know what I'm saying? The dead star's word. Because the Bible is the word, right? It's the word. But what's the Bible about? It's about a dead star. A star that have died and ascended to be a greater star. And it's showing you how you about to do that same shit. But it's the Bible though. So it's the word of that dead star. You know what I'm saying? So if it's a dead star, the influence of that star had to work through the lesser blood cells in order for that. So when y'all hear things like the motherfucking Noah's Ark and shit, what you need to know that this is the 1, 2, and 3 dimensional life. So all you lost religious people, stop trying to find Noah's Ark in this fucking dimension. Noah's Ark is in your fucking body, you fucking dumbass. If you want to find fucking Noah's Ark, go to a fucking science lab and try to find Noah's Ark somewhere in your body. And I tell you where Noah's at. Where Noah's Ark at, astrological wise, in your motherfucking body. But you motherfucker need to email me for that. I'm not gonna give y'all that on this motherfucking video. Because you religious people already look at me like something else. Like I'm a David. Because I got my own light and I shine bright. I got my own imagination. So goddamn it, you goddamn right, that's a day. I got my own day. My own imagination. When you look at everybody as stars and moons. Women as moons and homeboys as motherfucking suns. And everybody is presenting the day. And to make a relationship of a day, for a day to be day and night and complete, you know what I'm saying? This is why it takes the relationship of a male and female to joining. So we got the masculine and feminine receiving energies. But as spirits, you ain't none of those things. You just come down here and resonate whatever, and create a shape and form or whatever one you was resonating with as a spirit. But a spirit ain't none of that shit. But as down here, you looking at a bunch of suns. So everybody you around, you in a constellation. You in the motherfucking Lightbearer constellation. Everybody you looking at, you go to your job, that's a constellation. You know, your family, that's a constellation. Everybody around, you looking at people on the internet, everybody are constellations. Now, who got the brighter day? AKA, who got the bigger influence? Who the brightest? These are the motherfuckers who emit in their day. You know what I'm saying? Their day lasting the longest. This is why a motherfucking person's day, they reign. They reign in that day. Kings reign. But y'all think a king and reigning in the third dimension is this physical shit. Y'all just fish. Y'all don't understand in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension it's actual rain. It's raining down. You know what I'm saying? So in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, it do not rain because it only rains down. So since you in a lighter fluid, you could rain down in a heavier fluid based upon how much influence you got. So that creates matter, or whatever matters to you. You can create shapes and forms. It can become density, and then your space and rotation, your current, be more denser than the currents that you are around. So for the most part, you like rain down on shit. So you just understand the water. You can understand this realm of reality. Do your research on motherfucking it's motherfucking river falls in the ocean. Think I'm fucking lying. Think I'm lying. Go ahead, think I'm lying and go do some go type that in on Google or something. I bet you find some fucking research that'll blow your goddamn mind. It's motherfucking river falls in the ocean. You probably thinking right now, like, how the fuck does that happen? See, it's dealing with temperature and shit like that. When currents get closer to another current, aka a body of wave, you could look at a puddle in the ocean. When one get closer to another one, they create a rotation. Now, based upon the polar shifts or the space that they are in, they're going to be relative to each other. Now, in this dimension, y'all think that's electricity. Y'all think that's attraction or magnetism, but it's not that. What it is just a rotation of two bodies of currents that's rotating in two different ways. And the closer they get together, it creates a temperature, opposite of like temperament. It's really temperament, but down here y'all call it temperature, but it's really temperament, a state of being. And when two different state of beings come together, by default, it's two different natures. Down here, y'all have no choice but to relate that to other type of shit and thinking, but look, up there it's just that. Down here will play out like a charge, and this charge is like a connection and a disconnection type of thing, something trying to absorb. So what y'all think is catastrophic moments ain't going to be like a star or asteroid crashing in. No, it's going to be absorbing two spaces coming together, and based upon the relationships of those two influences, it's going to let you know what kind of current be created, whether there's going to be a tornado, hurricane, or whatever like that, aka what kind of current state of beings that y'all all living in as far as in existence. You see what I'm saying? But let me start this motherfucking video because y'all motherfuckers ain't getting this shit. Y'all ain't getting this shit. But yeah, do your motherfucking research and shit like that. So when the currents coming together and shit like that, it's rotating and things of that nature. You might got one space containing more matter, aka more of the rotation matter to it, and it's being more relative and having more responsive energies to all the charges, aka all the rotations it's around 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional wise, which will make that heavier, aka more of an influence, more responsibility, more heavier, so it can become down in the fluid, in the fluid. So in the third dimension, when you're looking at ocean waters and do your research on river falls in the river, that's actually what's happening. You having a more dense version of something in space in response and relative to a lesser dense version of whatever it's vibrating with in that rotation frequency at the moment. So the heavier it is, you can see it going down deeper. And this is when y'all start to get into currents and get real deep. And now y'all really start to understand life. But right now, that might be too deep for y'all right now. Y'all might not start understanding this shit to 2020. But yeah, man, flight boss, bitch, goddamn air.